I think
I
you know
got you.
loud with it. Like,
Yeah,
so you
yeah.
finished the Florida thing. So like, when is it that you like start to like develop more of an interest in the music? Is that like a later on thing, or does that like pop in at like 10 years old? You like see some shit, or actually,
Yes.
better
Yeah,
question to
what?
reform it is, when did you first start to care about music beyond your parents? That's a better way to ask that question, I think.
Okay, and then I think we'll lead into the other one
Yeah.
because of that one. Um, so there's the next piece of the puzzle, which is my brothers. My brother has been into hip hop for a long, long time, and he actually had a huge influence on me when it comes to hip hop music. Like he showed me a lot of what hip hop has to offer, the culture. We started off back in the day, loving Eminem, like just bumping all M's shit and I would listen to it and stuff like that, and songs from the Chronic, and we're talking about like a role model, and like all these like niche the Eminem things. Obviously, they're the popular ones too. So there was
Yo, it's
that, and
funny that
then
you're calling them niche because when I was like fucking not when I was young, they were not that niche.
yeah. Well, now it is, right? It's like it's times have changed, man. Like you said, the chore music gets carried on.
It's still, man. I'm enjoying this.
Yeah. So that's it. So he had a huge influence when it comes to hip hop. I learned like so much, and then obviously all the new school guys that are coming out. Like the recent wave. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about, like the melodic shit that we were talking about even before this interview and stuff like that. So leading up to today, but. When did I start caring about music, like and wanting to pursue
Well, even
music
just like as a fan, right? Because there's usually this
as a
transition
fan?
point before you start to want to make music. You first, usually
Yeah.
people will hear like a song and it'll be like, yo, say word. And it changes from
Hmm.
some shit that's like around you to being like,
Yeah.
yo, this is some shit I really, really care about.
Yeah. No, 110%. And for me, that probably happened when I was like probably 16, 15, 16, something like that. I've always loved music. Like, don't get it twisted. Always loved music. And I find that for me, when I was like 16, something like that, maybe even 18, I'd say like start a CJEP, between 16 and 18. I start because there's all kinds of conflicts and stuff at that age, right? All kinds of drama, la la la, and you need something to resort to, like to rebalance, recalibrate, and be able to relate to. So music sort of provided that for me. It was sort of an escape and stuff like that. You can't always talk to your parents, can't always talk to your friends, and so music was kind of this like it was a tool. I would listen to it and just I would feel better. It's like almost meditative in a way.
So like,
So I think
like
that
prior
yeah.
to that, it wasn't such an important thing in your life.
No, no, no. It was like I said, don't get it twisted. It was always very important. But I found you're asking me like when the pinnacle switch was, like when the
Yeah,
thing toppled over, probably around there.
I'd argue that that is
So
the latest anyone said that to me, which is why it caught me off guard. 16 is like kind of like
yeah, that's
it's
what.
like so it's like
Well,
not
that's what I'm
like
saying.
it's like interesting. That's why I wanted to like
Yeah,
double check what you were saying, make sure
yeah,
it's
yeah, yeah.
cool.
No, no, no. That's what I'm saying. My music influence and stuff like that is and we haven't even talked about when I started, but I started late, man. I started really late. Like I only started recording at like 20. That's it. So fairly recent.
That's not that
That's
late.
we're
That's like
talking, eh?
I don't know how
Well, I
late
mean,
that really.
typically artists, like they'll start recording younger, man. Like I've seen some artists start, 17, 18, stuff like that,
That's because it's
you know?
like the first time. It's the first time you can. It's your
Yeah,
guys are like the
yeah, yeah,
first
yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
era where it was even viable to make half decent sounding shit for cheap. Now
That's
I've
very
like,
true.
cause like people got stories of like, bro, I had to take the tape recorder and it had the two tapes in it, and this one I could flip into a mic and I would flip the earphone into a thing. I'd record like that, dub it over, bro. You had to go one take, including choruses over it, like all this shit, right? And then it's
That's
like
crazy.
part of like, yo, I started talking to some of the younger dudes, and they're like, bro, I started at 13, and I'm like, what? And he's like, yeah, I got like the decent sounding mic, and we just jacking beats, and we just recording at home, blah. And then like
Yeah.
fucking J Kid is 17. He's like, bro, it's on the phone. I don't even, blah. And I'm like,
Oh yeah, he told me that. I was like, bro, you're fucking joking. You
and
don't
then
use the dog. He's like, nah.
and I'm
Obviously
just,
now he does, but yeah.
and he's like, all these people is just, and then I swear, JK created a mantra in my life. Think like I'm 17. because 17-year-olds don't have money,
Ah,
so they think like they're
hey,
17.
I like that. I like that. I like
And
that a
since
lot.
then, I feel
I'm
like
gonna
I've
mention that to him.
yo, it's real shit though. I've said that so many times to so many people since then. Like, yo, we all gotta
Yeah,
start thinking like we're 17, man. These kids are
that's
gonna fucking
factual, man.
murk
And you
us.
know what? And you know what? They get fucking creative. They get real creative with it, and that's when some real interesting shit pops off.
But what's
You
super
know?
crazy, dude, is
Mm.
everybody's mad creative at 17. Regardless to what generation you're
Yeah,
in, it's always like
yeah,
the 12 to 17-year-olds that are jury rigging headphones to fucking work because A, they
yep,
have time for it, and B, like they just think of the shit. Whereas you get older and you're like, bro, I need the studio now. I needed this, I needed that. And then all of a sudden
exactly.
we cripple
Yeah,
ourselves a little bit in that regard. But yeah, no.
absolutely.
So like, what else are you running through high school with? What else is like popping off in your life? Or do you have other passions or hobbies or things that are occupying your time?
During high school, I mean, I've been playing hockey my whole life. So hockey, obviously, the biggest sport in my life. I ski as well. While I was in high school, I used to ski like almost every weekend. And
Oh,
so I
say
did a lot of
what?
sports, honestly. Yeah, I did that. I played badminton, I played soccer. Like I was just sports occupied a large part of my time, and I was also I was a good student, like I do my work, the projects handed in on time, da, da, da. Like school would be a big part of my life, So we're talking like early high school, from like sec 1 to sec 3, 4, like type shit. And then secondary 4, things started to change a little bit. My focus sort of shifted, you get older, you start really, okay, there's girls and there's parties and there's this and da da da. So, things started to shift a little bit. I still kept my good grades and stuff like that, but definitely the priorities sort of shifted a little bit, you know.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, and you're in the West Island too, which is mad
Hmm.
different than other places. Yo, people may not
Yeah,
know how different. That's like you need a car, go the fuck home at a certain
yeah,
point.
they ain't no, you can't catch a bus or a metro out here. You need a
Yo, hold up.
car.
Is
Yeah,
shit
yeah, yeah,
still
yeah.
like, okay, when I lived in the West Island for 5 years, and the one thing that I
Where'd you
visit,
live? Where'd you live?
Dollard, but like
Okay, nice.
Hyman and Sunnybrook, in what I believe they called Bucktown.
You know about that. That's funny.
No,
Wow, yeah, yeah, I know where
my
that is
mom
for
lives
sure.
like next to what was a Couche-Tard by the bowling alley near Ama Bay. That's where my mom's at right now.
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. Okay, okay. I know. Oh my God, they have such a great fucking spot for food there, right on that corner. Oh man, that's incredible. Like on Gouin, and I forget the name of the street right
One of
after.
them's Lalonde, one of them's Alexander.
Yeah, I think Lalonde. I'm pretty sure it's a Haitian place. It's fucking good. Anyway, we got sidetracked, but yeah. So
That's
your
all
your
good.
your your
Yeah, so
mom
she's
lives
out
out there,
there.
yeah?
So I'm familiar with the buses ending at 12 hard stop. And you're like,
Ah, yeah,
what the fuck
yeah,
is this
yeah, yeah,
shit?
yeah, yeah.
And I was like, wondering,
Yeah,
did
the
that
East End's like,
change?
what do you mean?
Like the East End's like, what? The shit runs till 2:30. And I'm like, what?
Not
No,
out
that's
here,
crazy.
not out here.
I'm like in the middle, so it stops at 1 now.
Yeah, nice, nice, nice.
But
Shit.
yeah, so yeah, it's a car line. So it's like, because I'm curious a little bit, right? Because ultimately, this is more of like a market research kind of perspective for me too. Like, y'all are
Hmm.
like the future of entertainment. So technically, you're like
Yep.
a 23-ish-year-old dude. Y'all are the ones that are gonna go to the things. What's the
Yep.
culture of like partying like for high school young adults in the West Island? Like, what is that culture like?
Oh man. Okay. So well, first of all, definitely an identifiable culture for sure in the West. But I mean, if you're talking like high school and like my age, like definitely different types of partying. High school, like house parties were the
Well,
shit. Like
let me be clear. I want my
yeah,
songs to play in both situations, regardless if I'm at both situations.
you want say that again? You
I
want your
would love my
songs to play
songs to
both?
be at both places, the young ones and the
R-
old ones, even if I'm not going to the high school party personally. I would love it if my music
Oh,
made it there. So that's why we're like
okay.
curious how this all works on a literal sense, like
Yeah, 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 yeah. I mean, listen, like people in the West, I find like I said, house parties are huge. Like just get-togethers with good friends and stuff like that. Like that's a huge part. Like we don't necessarily because it's a fucking bitch to get downtown. Okay, from the West, and the
facts,
drive back, it's long. It's a pain in the ass. Some people
terrible.
love it. Some people love going clubbing, bars, this and that. I'll do it. You know, it's great every once in a while, but if you tell me, yo, there's a house party here in the West and like just like, 30, 40 people pulling up, I would so take that over a club, like in a heartbeat. So that I find is a
Say
cool,
word. Y'all
unique
do
thing.
like 40% house parties out in the West
When we were
for.
younger, yeah, hell yeah.
Say
Oh
fucking
yeah.
word. That
Big
actually
time,
just
man.
sounds fun.
I used to host parties, man. I had like 100 plus like people pull up at an Airbnb thing, bro. Like for
When were you
sure.
doing that?
How old was I? I was like 18, 19, something like that.
Say word. You
Yeah.
can throw
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
successful ass parties. I would call 100 people pulling up at an Airbnb a successful ass party. How the
That,
fuck do you get into that shit?
oh man, I did it with a buddy of mine who he's done a couple, and like we did this one together, and it was insane. Like the night was just crazy. All kinds of things happened, of course. And we did I'll tell you like one of the highlights. We did like a cuffing thing. So like everybody was paired up with someone else, and they were zip tied together. So their hands were zip tied. And so the contest was whoever can like stay zip tied the longest would like they'd win. I think it was like a pack of beer or something. I forget what it was. And so that was just such a vibe. Like everybody was coming in. We're like, okay, on the list of who you cuffed with, okay, da, 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 and tie them up, and like they'd go have a good time. So it was
Shit, that's
crazy, and
fucking
obviously,
sick.
yeah, all kinds of cool stuff. And but that was a cool ass party, man. I remember that. Definitely. That was right before I went on exchange. So I was 19 at that point.